Hi, Gary Zacharias. Welcome again to our English Essentials video tour of the English language and English writing. We're on video number 13. We've been talking about short pieces of writing like a single paragraph. We've been talking about multi-paragraph essays. We've been moving then into grammar. We talked about parts of speech. We talked about splices and fragments and fused sentences. We talked about transitions last time. So here we are, number 13. And again, I'm using the textbook. You're welcome to get a copy if you want for free. Just email me. And we're on page 60. So what we're going to try to cover this time, and I know I'm going to have a tough time of it, is commas, comma rules. And people are going to say, commas, that's kind of up to you, isn't it? How you feel. If it's Tuesday, I feel like a lot of commas. Or some people say, well, it's kind of like how you sprinkle salt on your food. I'm a big salt person. So I use a lot of commas. It's just how I feel. No, it's not. There are specific rules for commas. And it's much like math, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean math, 2 plus 2 is always 4. There are certain occasions in English where you need a comma, or you should have had a comma. So I'm going to cover, these are not all the rules, but these are the vast majority of them. If you get these down, and it's good news, they're just a total of 8. And we're going to do one more video of illustrating these, taking a look at them, but it's not that hard. It really is not that difficult. In fact, you already know probably half of them. So it's not going to be any huge shock to you. So let's go through the 8 on page 60, and then I'm going to have the book where you can see it up close. We're going to go through some of the examples, see how you do with them. So number 1, what's a use for a comma? We have already done this. If you write a sentence that has one idea and it has another idea, in other words 2 separate sentences, each one could stand by itself, but you want to put them together for some reason, you think it flows better, you put a comma with the conjunction. It's got to have those 2 features, comma, conjunction, new idea. So if you, here's my example that's in here. Evan played with his dump truck, that could have been a sentence, comma, and, that's a promise, we better get a new sentence now. His grandpa helped him build roads for it. That's a new sentence. So you can just like cover up each half and say, do I have a sentence here? Do I have a sentence there? If you do, put a comma and the conjunction. Otherwise you'll end up with a splice. So make sure it's a comma with a conjunction. Number 2, separating items in a list. If you want to list 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 things in a sentence, maybe it's verbs, maybe it's nouns, whatever it happens to be, it's pretty obvious. You've done this since you were a kid. You separate them with commas. So here's my example. Janelle took batteries, radios, tents, and spare gasoline. So those are items that she's taking maybe on some sort of camp out. Batteries, comma, radios, comma, tents, comma, and spare gasoline. Because you've got a bunch of items. It's not one item, it's 4. So you separate them with commas. How are we doing? So far so good? Number 3. All right, 3 is a little tougher, but you'll get the picture immediately. Most of the time in English, when somebody starts a sentence, they give you the subject really close to the beginning. They may say, the angry umpire threw the manager out of the game. Right? Within the first couple of words, you found out this sentence is about an umpire and what he was up to. Or it says, the cat chased the bird. We know immediately, what's our subject? The cat. Okay, we got our subject right off. There are some sentences, though, that push the subject and the verb further away from the beginning of the sentence, and they put something else at the beginning instead. So what you want to do is help the reader hunt the subject and the verb of the sentence. How do you help them hunt them? You give them a break. You give them a comma, which is like a flag waving, saying, okay, that was interesting stuff, but I'm now about ready to give you the subject of the sentence. So here's my example. Alone and dejected, comma. Okay, is there a subject there? Do we know who's alone and dejected? No. So it started with some descriptive words, those are called adjectives. Then the comma. Now we should find out who's sitting there alone and dejected, comma. She tore up the letter. Now we know it's a woman and what she's up to, but we found that out after a few words into the sentence. Okay, number 4. Okay, this one will take a little thinking. We have these things in English called adjective clauses. Don't worry about the fancy terminology. It's just that in the middle of a sentence, after a noun, say we're back to parts of speech again, after a noun, somebody may want to put some more information about that noun before they continue the sentence. So here's a quick example, and I'll show you the difference here in a minute, just so you understand adjective clauses. By the way, there's a section in the book on adjective clauses. You're welcome to go back and take a look and see how they appear. But you start a sentence. So for example, I teach at Palomar. So if I say, I teach at Palomar College, and then I pause and I think, well, I'd like to add some more information about Palomar, but I don't want to have a whole separate sentence. I'll use an adjective clause. So I go, I teach at Palomar College, comma, what do I want to do there? One of three words is going to go in there to create this adjective clause. Who, which, or that. Well, I'm not going to put who. Palomar College is not a who. A who is a person. How about which? Yeah, that works great. I work at Palomar College, comma, which is in San Diego County. All right, you see how I've added more information about Palomar? That's why it's called an adjective clause, because they talk about nouns. Let's try another one, see if you got the hang of it. Let's try a who. Okay, so I say, the President of the United States, who conducted the interview, comma, revealed da-da-da-da-da. Right? So it doesn't matter what he revealed, but it starts out, the President of the United States. And now we want to stick some more information. So we go, comma, who conducted the interview, comma, and back to the sentence. So those things are adjective clauses. You can look them up. I'll show you some more examples when we get to the examples page in just a minute. Now here comes the punctuation rule. If you have specifically identified the noun right before the who or the which, if you've specifically identified the noun, you've got to put a comma in there, because now you're just giving extra information. But if you write a sentence that does not identify clearly who it is or what it is, don't put a comma, because you need the who or the which to explain it. I know that sounds really tricky. Let me give you two examples, and then I'll show you the ones in the book here. So if I start off and I say, my brother, now have I identified that person? Yeah, that's my brother. So I'm going to go, my brother, comma, who is in the Army, and then finish the sentence. Do you see, that was specific. Even though I didn't give the name, I said it's my brother, not just any person, it's my brother. What about this? I start off and I say, the cat which? The cat? Is that specific? No. How many millions of cats are in the United States? So don't put a comma there. Now here are the ones that I gave in the textbook. Jordan wanted to see the Mona Lisa, which was in the Louvre Museum. Jordan wanted to see the Mona Lisa. Let's stop right there. That's a noun. It's a famous painting. Is that a specific painting? If you said, I want to see the Mona Lisa, will he take you to one painting? Yeah, it's a specific painting. So the noun was specific, put a comma, which was in the Louvre Museum. Let's watch the second one here. Jordan wanted to see the painting, which was in the Louvre Museum. That's a different sentence. It says Jordan wanted to see the painting. Let's stop there. The painting. Are there a few paintings in that museum? Yeah, there's probably thousands. So that's not specific. Don't put a comma. Jordan wanted to see the painting, which was in the Louvre. All right, I'll show you some examples. If this is confusing at all, I'll show you some examples. We'll play around with it in a few minutes. So that was rule 4. Here's 5. Anytime you have a direct quotation, in other words, the words that came right out of somebody's mouth, you put the comma. So it's he said, comma, then the quote with the quotation marks. Okay, so got it? Everybody knows that. You've seen that 1,000 times when you read something. Number 6, dates and addresses. You knew that. July 10th, comma, whatever year it is. I live at such and such street, comma, city, comma, state. I mean, we know those kinds of things, so you knew that one. Number 7, setting off what's called an appositive. Okay, a little background real quickly. Let's say you have a noun in your sentence, and you want to identify that noun a little bit more clearly. You can use another noun to explain something about that first noun. So, you're going along, you say, my car, and you go, oh, I forgot to tell people what my car is. So you go, my car, comma, a 2015 Toyota Corolla, comma, and continue your sentence. So do you see, you said car, that's a noun. What's your car? A 2015 Toyota Corolla. Okay, that's not moving your sentence any further. You're just stuffing in some more information. So show the reader that you're breaking your sentence apart and dumping some more information before you continue your sentence. So you get a comma, and then another comma when you're done with that appositive. So here's another one, Palomar College. So you might stop and say, wait a minute, I didn't tell the readers what this is. So you go Palomar College, comma, a 2-year public institution in San Diego County, comma, then you continue. So what's Palomar? A 2-year institution. You say, he lives in San Diego. Well, most people know where San Diego is, but what if you want to add a little more information? He lives in San Diego, comma, a city located in the southwest of the United States. A city. San Diego is a city. All right, so that's pretty easy. Those are called appositives, but they get commas. And then the last one, number 8, is transitions. We just talked last time about what transitions are. Words like however, consequently, therefore, on the other hand, first, next. I gave you a big list and we talked about them. So you can look back and check on those. They always get commas. So I gave an example here. Jared was, therefore, asked to fix the computer. Jared was, and then you stuffed into that a transition. Therefore, back to your sentence. So you have one comma to start the transition, one comma to show it's over, and you're back to your main idea. All right, so that's a lot of information. Let's take a look now at some of the specific sentences and see how these work out. See if you can do well with these. So we'll do that right now. Okay, so here are some comma rules in action. So let's try them out. Sentence number 1 says, be sure to bring a flashlight, a 3-day supply of food, and a backpack on the trip. Well, what's going on there? It looks like a list of things that people are supposed to bring. Well, how many? 3 things. Flashlight, all right, put a comma. What else? A 3-day supply of food. Put another comma. What else? And a backpack on the trip. So there are your 3 items. Now they're very easy to see that you're separating the 3 from each other. Let's try number 2. Joan Smith, a lawyer, traveled to Atlanta, Georgia to meet her client. Well, I see the sentence pausing after Joan Smith. You're finding out something about her. So it was a noun, Joan Smith, person, then another noun, telling who Joan Smith is, a lawyer. So that's called an appositive. That's what an appositive looks like. So the appositive is going to get a comma when it starts, so that's right after Smith. It's going to get a comma right when it's finished, that'd be after lawyer. And then keep going, travel to Atlanta, Georgia. What are you doing there? You're setting off an address, the city from the state. So we'll go Atlanta, comma, Georgia to meet her client. Number 3, for example, I never watch TV until I have finished my work. What's for example? Does that sound familiar? It's one of those transitions. They always get commas. For example, comma, I never watch TV until I have finished my work. Number 4, in the corner of the room, away from the chairs and table, the child stood and sang. Now this is a long sentence. I want you to think about something. Who or what is actually the spotlighted person or thing being talked about here? It's not the corner, it's not the room, it's not the chairs, it's not the table. What's going on? It's a child that's standing and singing, and all of that occurs right near the end of the sentence, doesn't it? So remember, if you're going to start a sentence with something that's not the subject, it's not the main idea, you want to put a comma to say, hey look, now pay attention, I will give you the subject. So we're going to go in the corner of the room, away from the chairs and table, comma, because now we finally find out something about who or what's doing something. It's the child stood and sang. So even though it's a long sentence, one comma to say you're putting some introductory remarks and then moving to your subject and verb. Number 5, she studied for the test in the hopes of passing, but she still failed it. Ooh, ouch. But do you see that there are actually 2 separate sentences there? She studied for the test in hopes of passing. That's a sentence, could have been a period. She still failed it. That's short, but that's another sentence. It has a subject, she, and the verb failed. So we got this little conjunction, but, that's joining the 2. So conjunctions with a comma in front of them point out that you have 2 sentences there. So it would be passing, comma, but. She still failed it. Number 6, when he spotted her, he came over to her table and joined her for dinner. Well, this is starting off with a when. That's not a sentence. You can't put a period after when he spotted her. That's not a sentence. Here's the sentence. He came over to her table and joined her for dinner. So what you've got is an introductory remark, comma after her. Then we find out he came over to her table and joined her for dinner. Now, I'm not going to put a comma after table, even though there's a conjunction there. Can you see why? That part after and is not a sentence. Joined her for dinner. There's no subject there. We don't know who's doing the joining. So it's just one sentence that should be separated from that introductory material. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's finish up these sentences on comma uses, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Number 7, his behavior, however, is terrible and he needs to apologize for it. Do you see how that word however is breaking up the first part there? His behavior is terrible. What's however? Does that sound familiar? That's another transition. So we're going to say his behavior, comma, and how far does the transition go? It's just one word. So we're going to put another comma after however. So we've got his behavior, comma, however, comma, is terrible. Now here comes the conjunction, and. Do we have a new sentence after the and? He needs to apologize for it. Yes, we do. Has the subject he, has the verb needs, so we need one more comma to separate two sentences. It'll be after the word terrible. So even though it's a fairly short sentence, it has 3 commas because of those rules, not because you feel like it or because it's Tuesday. Number 8, the boy who took the money ran down the street. Okay, so 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 all have to do with people struggling with this business about, gee, do I put commas after a noun in front of a who or a which? Well, let's take a look. Number 8, the boy. Let's stop right there. Is that identifiable? Do we have a specific person in mind? No, there are millions of boys. So don't put a comma there. The boy who took the money ran down the street. Which kid? The kid that took the money. We need that information, who took the money. Don't put a comma. Number 9, I see another who. Jim Doe, who is my neighbor, was recently awarded first place in a writing contest. This time, if I say Jim Doe, even though you don't know him, that is a person. So it's a specific person. So we are going to put a comma. That's different than number 8. Look at the difference between 8 and 9. Jim Doe, comma, who is my neighbor, comma, was recently awarded first place in a writing contest. Number 10, let's try 2 sentences, 10, 11, have that which. Number 10, the school which was evacuated is located on 5th Avenue. Well, let me ask you, the school, is that clear? Or are there a lot of schools? There are a lot of schools. Don't put a comma there. The school which was evacuated is located on 5th Avenue. Which one got evacuated? The one that's located on 5th Avenue. No break there at all. No need for the commas. But look at 11, zebras. Let's stop right there. Is that a specific animal? Can you picture them? Sure. Zebras which look alike to the casual observer, comma. There's the end of that adjective clause. How do we know it's the end? Well, pull it out. What are you going to be left with? Zebras actually have very different markings. That's your sentence. You just disrupted it, which is okay. That's good. You had more information, but you disrupted it with that adjective clause. Zebras, comma, which look alike to the casual observer, comma, actually have very different markings. So that's it. Those are the comma rules and comma examples. Again, you can find tons of them to play around with online. Do a Google search, just type in comma uses for English. All right, so I'll see you next time. We'll do a couple more examples, I think, of punctuation rules.